Hello, this is GeoTechland, and today I'll be talking about the Kingdom Rush games that are available natively on Linux. And so these three games here are a tower defense series, which I think are very, very well made. Now, just to be clear, I love tower defense games, and so this may be a pretty biased overview / review. So right now you're going to be seeing the Kingdom Rush game, the very first one, and a lot of the elements of this game are going to be pretty much the same as you'll see in the other games. You'll be taken throughout a whole world here. Usually you'll start like in some green kind of country with kind of close to a castle, so you can build there's essentially 4 weapons you can use. It's arrows, magic, cannons, and then like a little brigades of soldiers. There's also these fireball power-ups, although in the third game they become thunderbolts, which are probably better and a lot quicker to fire. You can also, in the bottom left, call out troops that will kind of come through and help you fight. Extra soldiers. And then you also have a guardian, which is just like a character in this first game here. Is I guess it's like this weird Norse god, Thor's hammer type dude. And so the monsters are pretty varied. Sometimes you'll face monsters that are very quick, like what you see in the bottom there. Sometimes you'll face guys with lots of armor where magic is a better tower against them. Sometimes you'll face creatures that are more resistant to magic, where you'll need more firepower like cannons and arrows. And again, throughout the 3 games, it stays pretty consistent. I was originally going to do a review of the 3 games individually, but I felt like, well, there's just too much that's similar between the 3 here. Now, there are very small differences. In this first game, I think it has more variation between stages, so I like the stages more than anything, because you start off in these green prairie lands with lots of trees, and then you venture out into these icy castles. So here are your heroes. So this is like, I guess that is actually Thor. You can play as a king. And again, in the other games, you can also choose some random hero characters, and you can, when you play with them, they change stats. And then here you have upgrades, so you can upgrade abilities like arrows get stronger, or your special like fireballs get more powerful. And here you can choose between 3 different campaigns. And here's some towers and some enemies here, and of course your achievements, which I don't really pay too much attention to, but it's kind of nice to have there. And obviously you can change the difficulty from usually hard, normal, casual, although it varies between game a little bit. This one is Kingdom Rush Frontiers, and probably the main differences between this game is that it is a bit smaller, like there's less variations. And even when I started this, the first part where it's like the desert, I don't know, it just felt kind of slow and boring, but once you play through it, it's still pretty fun. It actually has probably the hardest monsters. Like there's some monsters in these islands that have these shells, and so when you're about to destroy them, they hide into their shell and start healing, but also move at the same time. And when they pop out, they're fully healed, so you kind of gotta kill them quick. And then on this stage, there's these monsters that come out of this little, whatever this is, some ancient piece of technology, that they'll pop out of this thing here in a moment. And what these guys do is, if there's soldiers lined up, they will eat them and then turn into these like strong monsters, which are pretty hard to kill. So you have to pretty much not have any soldiers there and just have lots of arrows. So very unique enemies here. Those are also those are challenging, but once you kind of know not to put soldiers, they become pretty simple. Alright, and then here is Kingdom Rush Origins, the last game of the series here. This one was actually arguably better than the second one. It's a bit more varied. I actually like the heroes a bit better. You get a dragon, you get this little Wilbur dude who's really good. This one probably had the harder stages, not necessarily the main campaign. When you go to like the more difficult modes, like the heroic and iron modes, those are really hard actually. You gotta really strategize in a very interesting way. Like sometimes you'll have to use only arrow towers to stop the swarm, and it became really close where you can like barely beat a level, which is a good challenge. But again, all in all, as you're seeing, the core of the games stayed the same, and they have made, you know, slight modifications here and there just to kind of keep things interesting. Never changing too much, but never, well, I guess the game has stayed mostly the same throughout, which I'm fine with. I mean, my only real criticism is just the story. I mean, it's a good story and it's very rich with details. But I mean, obviously it's nothing fancy, but it's for a tower defense game, the story has really no emphasis. It's really just like a background. It's kind of like comparing it to Zelda Ocarina of Time. The story, it's kind of a children's story, right? Good versus evil. So is this game. So I don't think the story should weigh heavily, or if at all, really. If you like tower defense games, you're gonna love these games. Linux user, we're pretty lucky to have these games here. I've actually played these games a lot more than a lot of the AAA games, because again, there's just so much fun. My only other comment about these games is that the difficulty level, it's kind of a little bit all over the place, where there's just like a random level that is randomly difficult, and then just some of the modes and then just some bosses will be pretty annoying. But that's not really a criticism, it's just more like an observation there. They're going to be coming out with another game, which I'm going to get day one. Other than that, if you like this sort of review / overview, please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.